And with that, we're opening to a brand new investment strategy today with Yarnhub. This is a never before seen strategy in this group. And so it'll be the first one in its category up on the webpage when we post the meeting. And I'd like to welcome Cyril and David from Yarnhub, who's going to talk to us a little bit about how to invest in the gaming industry.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and very nice to meet you all. It's been a long time since I've done a meeting with a bunch of Intel people, and I'm just trying to remember the acronyms. The AR is probably the only one, so if anybody wants to give me an AR, that'll make me feel right at home.
Oh,
So
David, can I specify two things? I had a question right off the bat. Is this a educational talk or there are three ways that we bring people into this group. And the first way is through educational talk, the second way is through a pitch, and the third one is if you're coming in through our club fund. This is technically an educational talk, but I gave David and Cyril permission to go ahead and present their opportunity anyways. So I guess it's a free pitch.
okay. Thank you very much.
But we're always welcome to have people share those sorts of details here anyways, just as long as it doesn't turn into an overbearing sales pitch. That's what we want to avoid more than anything else. Focus should be on education. And then the second thing that I needed to say that I didn't is that the Alternative Investing Club is not a registered investment advisor. We are not giving tax advice, we're not giving legal advice, and we're not giving investor advice. We're just a club for investors by investors, sharing a platform for speakers to come in and educate us. And so thank you very much for that. And with that, sorry, David, go ahead.
Not at all. Cyril, if you can go to the first slide, I think that'd be great. So just to give you a bit of introduction about myself, I was at Intel for 10 years. And I was managing software development teams. I actually speak very bad Russian because Intel sent me to Nizhny Novgorod back in the day. And Oscar Wilde said, an Englishman only has room for 1.5 languages in their head. And my half, unfortunately, is Russian, which is about the least useful language right now with everything that's going on. But I now live in Finland. My wife is Finnish, and I have a young family here and another one on the way. So I'm going to be the oldest dad in school. But my work background is as I said, spent about just under 10 years at Intel, and then I spent another 6 years working in media. So I come from like a tech media background. I founded War History Online, which very quickly became one of the biggest, the most read military history sites on the planet. We got to about 20 million monthly unique visitors. I also founded the Vintage News, and I sold that company to a company that was acquired by Open Web. So I always say I got acquired by Open Web because they're a unicorn and it sounds better. But it was actually a company that was acquired by Open Web, and I sold that 4 years ago. And I sold everything apart from the video business because the video business was expanding quite significantly. We've grown. We have a number of different pages on YouTube, which I'll talk about later on. I'm also on the board of trustees of the Tank Museum, and the Tank Museum, if you don't know it, it's a great institution. They don't have me for my tank knowledge. It's safe to say they have me for my media and social media knowledge. But it's an amazing place. It was founded by Rudyard Kipling just after the First World War. Her Royal Highness Princess Anne is the patron, and I've been on the board of trustees there for 8 years now. And if you've seen the film Fury with Brad Pitt, then all of the tanks in that are our tanks pretty much. So we have the only working Tiger One in the world, which is if you're into tanks, that's a pretty neat thing. So that's me. And I've known Cyril for 10 years. So Cyril, maybe you should chip in now.
Yes, 10 years I've known David. So I moved, so I'm French, you might get that from my accent. But I moved to Finland 20 years ago. And 20 years ago and still today, there was one industry that was really booming in Finland, and it was gaming industry. I was not necessarily a gamer, I was not necessarily a coder, but I got that job and that dream job in the game industry, and it worked very, very well for me. I spent my whole career the last 20 years in Finland. I was very lucky. I started to work with two figures from the game industry. One is the original founder of Electronic Arts, Trip Hawkins, And the other one that, if you have kids, I'm sure they know games from Supercell. And Supercell is in Finland. They do Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, Heyday, this type of game on their mobile. And the Ilkka Pananen, who's the CEO of Supercell, was pretty much my mentor for 7 years when I was at Digital Chocolate. So this is where I grew. And for 20 years, I either run operation within studios, operating roadmaps, launching games, developing teams, creating teams from scratch, or I was running studios myself. So for example, for Electronic Arts, I had a group of 4 different studios, and I was very lucky to work on licenses like SimCity Build It, The Sims, Need for Speed. I'm sure you've heard some of those names. Even if you're not a gamer, I'm sure you heard those type of games. I also, 4 years ago, I decided that now it's my time. Corporate is great. I've learned a lot. I've worked with amazing people, but now is my time. I want to be a founder, and of course, I had people like David around me, and I was very, very inspired. So we went out, reached out to VC, raised some money. It was on the back of Web3 back then. There was, something very exciting in the gaming industry about what could a blockchain bring to the industry. I mean, if you think about it, when touchscreen was invented, suddenly a company called Rovio in Finland invented Angry Birds because you could really touch, drag very nicely, very precisely. When a push notification happened, we invented retention vectors. When there was the ability to buy microtransaction within the game, we invented free to play. We didn't have to pay for the game anymore. We could get it for free because we knew inside the game there will be an opportunity to spend and to buy. So we were thinking about what the blockchain could bring to the game industry. That was very interesting. I spent 3 years there. Eventually, after 3 pivots, we launched a multiplayer game on a platform called Steam, which is a PC platform, which is a leading platform for PC. So that was, me going around trying to find product market fit and eventually launching a game. But David was, tapping on my shoulder and saying, "I've got this great project, and you're going to hear more about that." But this is how we started to work together. Eventually, last summer, I decided to leave my own startup. It was basically dying, and this is the time when we started to work with David. So that's me in a nutshell. I want to also present Michael, who's our game director. So he's really looking at the design, the game design, so the gameplay experience, the playing experience, the user experience, if you will. And Michael also, I worked 3 times with him, so I recruited him 3 times. So this is one of those persons that is in your network. Whenever you leave and they become available, you will just jump on recruiting them again. So Michael is a great gameplay designer, so he will be able to design experience full of ideas, able to always brainstorm. But above that, he's a very good what we call system designer. So if you think about progression in a game, if you think about different weapons, different vehicles, or different classes of object in the game, this is a system. The most important system we have in the game industry is the monetization system, especially when the game is free. You have to figure out ways where you have to create demands and make offers. So the demand will be basically player motivation, and the offer will be basically things you can buy in the game. And this is how you monetize free-to-play games nowadays. So very happy to have Michael. I wanted to present him to you also today. I've got a few slides here, just to give a little bit of the context of what is the game industry, maybe thinking that not everybody is aware about how big the game industry, what kind of challenge the game industry has, what to look for if you ever consider making an investment in the game industry. And so that 3-4 slides, and then it's followed by something that is a bit closer to Yarnhub and why we work together with David, what we're trying to achieve, and why we're so unique, and something like that. So that's roughly 12 slides in front of you. And of course, if there's any question, maybe Daniel, you could stop us and just bring the question in the middle. That's absolutely fine.
Will do.
Thank you. So the size of the game industry is absolutely huge. So it's, we talk about $140 billion market in 2024. And for comparison, it's cool to say that I work in the game industry. We work in the game industry with David, and the game industry is bigger than the film and the music combined. So it's like kind of proud to be in this big industry. everybody's a player. When I was recruited 20 years ago, you remember, I was not a player. I was not a gamer. I had a question in the job interview. It's like, Cyril, are you a gamer? I said, no, I'm not a gamer. But hold on, you don't play any game? Well, I play Snake on my phone and I play Doom on my PC, but I'm not a gamer. So everybody's, we get 3.4 billion gamers plus everybody else who says they're not a gamer, basically. And it's scalable. It's international straight away. It's of course it's digital first, so very much 21st century, and the beauty of it is that distribution is global. All the distribution channels are global. Now, I want to highlight the fact that there is East and there is West. It's still rare that a game that is very successful in the East will be successful in the West, and vice versa. The game industry has been trying to find for this holy grail about what kind of game could really attract both sides of the planet. Some successes, but it's not very, very common. I wanted to highlight that. Then for entrepreneur, because we talk about investment, we are entrepreneur, you're investors. So I thought it was interesting also to highlight the type of exit that exists. So there are some IPOs, there's plenty of crashes like any sort of startup, but there are plenty of studios that are being acquired for one success. So what I want to highlight here is one game success is usually enough for an acquisition to happen. There are huge ones bought by very big companies like EA, Electronic Arts. So Playdemic is a company known for one game that is called Golf Clash. And it was acquired by EA for 1.4 billion. Supercell, who got a couple of acquisitions, one from SoftBank in Japan, then from Tencent in China, basically had their majority stake acquired for 8.6 billion. They're still making, if you think about Supercell, they are not a public company, but it's the valuation is just amazing. The revenue they're making is still growing, and they are already 15 years old. So it's a huge company making a lot of money and got quite early exit at a very, very high valuation. And then the norm is more around the 300 million, 500 million, again, for one game success. I just took one game that you might have heard from, either yourself as a gamer or your kids, Fall Guys. There's been a bit of visibility also on TV series, this type of thing. So Fall Guys, a company called Tonic Games was acquired by Epic Games. So Epic Games is a company that is behind Fortnite. They're also behind a tool that we're using to make games and videos. And you will hear in our presentation about Unreal Engine. This is done by Epic Games. Maybe the last comment here is about, yes, there is game and there is revenue for the game, and that has a value for sure. And when you look at valuation, but the community itself, I mean, we understand how influencers get value by generating and collecting a community. Game is the same. Basically, we collect a community. They get fans that are following us from one game to another. Whenever you talk about a franchise or something like that. Now, there is one big issue on the game industry. David is very good at talking about it, so I'm going to let David talk about it.
Yeah. So the big issue in the gaming industry is user acquisition, and it's getting worse. So the main way that the game companies get players is through advertising, and it's really interesting because I come from a tech background, I come from a media background. My gaming background has been a sort of very rapid learning exercise, and I've been through a bunch of different conferences. And the amazing thing that I noticed was at all of the conferences that you go to for gaming, something like 95% of the companies there are helping game companies spend their marketing budget a little bit more wiser. So they might be getting a bit more data on the adverts. They might be doing a bit better targeting. They might be. So the whole thing right now, the whole industry is just geared around trying to get those marketing dollars. And then once you acquire those users, you've then got to get them back. And that usually requires adverts. And so when you've got the situation with COPPA and other privacy laws coming in around the world, basically the gaming companies are in crisis because they're having to spend more money on adverts, and those adverts are less targeted, so they're less effective. And no one's really got an answer to that right now. I mean, there's lots of things of lots of people are trying different things. Some people are trying to make Spotify for games so that you can put games into an already big ecosystem. There's a lot of secondary market where older games or games with less budget or on their way out basically sell their users to other gaming companies. So there's all sorts of jiggery pokery that's going on behind the scenes. But there's some estimates that on user acquisition, the amount of money that's spent, even though we saw the gaming business be huge, but there's some estimates that the advertising spend can almost be 2x what the revenue is for gaming, and most of that's coming. A lot of that's coming from VC. So the big question, if you're going to invest in a gaming company, is what's your go-to-market strategy? Because if they don't have a go-to-market strategy, a lot of gaming companies say, oh, I'm going to build a great game and everybody's going to come, right? The build it and they will come strategy. And, that's not something which is, I won't say it never happens, but it's catching lightning in a jar. So user acquisition strategy is probably the most important thing in a gaming company when you're looking for it. Would you add anything, Cyril, on that slide?
I just want to highlight what I wrote at the bottom of the slide is that when the game is live, so basically it's not in development phase, but when we'll call it live phase or live operation phase, we get cost for headcount and we get cost for marketing. And very often, the cost for marketing is 70 to 80% of the total cost of the studio. So you can imagine how much money they are usually spending on Facebook in US, which is the golden channel for user acquisition in the game industry. And even when they have acquired at very expensive price new users, they still struggle to keep their player in the game for more than 7 days. So it's a real struggle. It's a real crisis in the game industry. Just a brief, again, just to size the market. And so the yellow bars are the mobile revenue. And as you see in 2021, when the IDFA, so ID for advertising, which is, before I was able to say, hey, I know that Daniel plays Angry Birds. I want more Daniels. That's basically what it says. I want just to show this ad to people lookalike like Daniel. Now I can't do it because I don't know who's Daniel. I don't know what he likes, and I don't know who are the other Daniels. So clearly we saw the mobile industry and also the mobile investments really slowing down from 2021 when you were new studios doing mobile game only was very, very rare, and it is still very, very hard to raise money, for example, for that reason, because go-to-market without a very strong go-to-market, it's hard to invest. In the meantime, I want to highlight the green bar, which is the PC, which is where a lot of people from the mobile industry move to. It's like, okay, if mobile is not possible anymore, it's not growing, we go to PC. So PC is still less competitive than the mobile industry, way less games, but it's getting there. You can see that there are more and more games being launched. And console is very, very specific. It's pretty much a walled garden with a lot of deals. Let's put it this way, it's less entrepreneur friendly. Let's put it this way. And my last slide, kind of overall presentation of the game industry, is really this: how do you assess a game company? I think it's very clear from what we've been saying for 10 minutes, and what David says is like, what is the go-to-market strategy? And if your go-to-market strategy is, I'm going to buy ads, it's like, fine, what's your budget? Because the budget is 10 and hundreds of millions. A game like Angry Birds number 2, Angry Birds 2, I'm pretty sure everybody has heard about Angry Birds 2, so 2015. And when Angry Birds 2 launched, it was 70 million a year to buy ads again on Facebook. What is the expecting return on ad spend? So this is usually a number of days. So do you get your money back within 7 days, within 7 months, or within 2 years? Usually 2 years is seen, is not uncommon, but usually the limit. Some people who really want to grab the market, have a market positioning, will have a return on ad spend 2 years. But when you talk to VCs, yeah, if I have to talk to a VC, they will want a 7 days or 14 days or 30 days return on ad spend. I spend $10 to get David to my game. David has to spend $10 on average within 30 days. Then it's used the number one KPI in the game industry used to be the long-term retention. On the hypothesis that the longer I keep a player in the game, the more opportunity I have to get monetization from that player. Now, return on ad spend is the number one KPI by far, because without that you have no business. Doesn't matter how good your game is. After that, you look at the game, and how good the game is defined by the D30 and D90 retention, meaning after 30 days, how many players are still there? After 90 days, how many players are still there? The other one is there an audience for the game? Or is it just a great idea from a designer that he will play? Maybe his brother or his sister will play, but that's it. There's no market for it. So there's no audience for it. So that's always a good question to figure out. Is there an audience for a game that you're planning to build? And then obviously, very obviously, like, who is the team, and have they worked together? Have they launched games? What's the synergy in the game, in the team? Are they going to split because they're going to fight? Very common. I just had to put that here. Moving to Yarnhub.
Okay, so obviously we have a very strong team, because when have Englishmen and Frenchmen ever fought? No, I can't think of any time in history. But anyway, so yeah, what's our vision? At Yarnhub, we have a vision that we are a new kind of company, and that we will be running a portfolio of games perfectly matched to devoted returning audiences. And Yarnhub Animation Studios is going to be a true cross-media studio. And our definition of what that means is that we produce our content and our games in the same technology, with by and large, a large part of the same team and the same assets as well. And operating a portfolio of games fueled by consistently viral content. For us, virality isn't catching lightning in a jar. And I don't want to say it's shooting fish in a barrel, to mix my metaphors, but we have the formula of what it takes to get large audiences. We can show you that.
So I'm going to show you a video now. I'm going to keep the sound. I get no idea if the sound is going to go through to you, and then I'll shut the sound and David is going to talk.
November 29th, 1943, and in the tail of the B-17, Rikki Tikki Tavi.
Okay, so I've stopped the sound. I'm sure you have recognized David's voice.
Yeah. So this is all our own work. It's all our original assets. It's our original environments. We made that B-17. Obviously Boeing made the original B-17, but we did the model of the B-17, should I say. And we have a team of about 45 people putting together these, doing amazing 3D models and very skilled animators. And we get a film out like that about once every 3 weeks, which is about 12 minutes long. And in Q1, we hit 35 million monthly views on just one of our channels. We have a few channels, and also that's just on YouTube as well, because we also post on Facebook, on Microsoft Network, and other places as well. So really, really massive numbers of views. There's kind of like a content drought for what we produce. To be fair, people wait to watch it, and we're finding that TV is a bigger market. People want to sit down and watch our content on TV, fathers and sons. 2.1 million subscribers and growing up to 175,000 a month. Main geos are US and Japan, interestingly enough. So we do multi-language audio. Age range is pretty flat, but airs towards the younger on Yarnhub, which is about 15 to 35. And as I said, we've got about 45 employees, and then plus 6 for the game team as well, which we're in the process of hiring. Go on, next slide. So right now, you may have, unless you've been sort of living under a rock, you'll know about YouTubers like Mr. Beast and Logan Paul. Right now, YouTubers are already making billion-dollar businesses off the back of their audiences. Feastables and Prime, but these products are very closely linked to the demographic of the YouTubers, but they're not seamless integrations. And what do I mean by that? Well, probably, I mean, Mr. Beast has millions of viewers, but probably, and I'm going to make a guess here, none of his viewers put in the comments, you should go and make a chocolate bar. And similarly, Logan Paul's viewers probably didn't go along and say, you should make a sickly sweet energy drink, which all the kids are going to love. But they did, and it worked very well, and taking nothing away from them on that. But what we're doing is a little bit different. Our product that we are selling in the game is almost identical to the product that we're creating when people consume our content. And we have had many, many people tell us that they want a game for a very long time using our assets. In fact, a lot of people, when they see our films, they think it's already a game. You know, people say, well, what game is this? Where did you record it? And then we have to explain, well, actually, no, we lovingly handcrafted this and animated it ourselves. Let's see, next slide, please. So our plan is that we have an elegant and powerful solution to retention. And the way that I position this, to use a Silicon Valley metaphor, I'm talking about the TV program. So everybody else is buying mousetraps. They're buying adverts on Facebook and other places, and we're the Pied Piper. So the viewers flock to our content because they want to come and listen to it. We're not forcing them to come. We consider ourselves goosebump harvesters. We tell stories of brotherhood and connection and bravery, and people want to come back and listen to that again and again and watch it again and again. And so what we can do is, as we show a character on screen, we can say, you know, you've learned this technique from this character, get in game and use that same strategy. Or you see this tank, it's now in game, and this is how you defeat it. And so there's a very, very strong connection to getting people from videos into games. And the industry does this right now. It's called live ops. I'm not sure if you've got a slide on this. Am I okay to talk about this, Cyril? So
yeah, okay. Talk about live ops now. It's good.
So the gaming industry calls this live ops. So basically what they do is they do a live event for releasing a new piece of content in the game. And it's a tiresome thing for the industry. It's an expensive thing for the industry. But for us, it's absolutely integrated. Every time we release a film, there'll be something in the film that will give you a call to action to go into the game. And then we don't have to get it right first time, because people come back and watch our content again and again. We can actually show another film in 3 weeks' time and say, well, actually, maybe you didn't like the game before, but now we've got this thing in there and it's really, really good. So go give it another try. And this is all, I would say, it's all free. In fact, we're making money out of the marketing because we're great storytellers and we know what connection to build with the audience. So it's frictionless and thrives on brand loyalty and shared storytelling. And you know, on the technical side, we're sharing assets and tech, and it's community driven. So a lot of games sort of try and be community driven. Cyril's got more experience on this, so maybe Cyril, you want to talk about the community and how you see it.
So if you remember when I introduced myself, I said that the last 3 years I spent in a startup, and I ended up launching a game on a platform for PC games that is called Steam. So I know what it is to develop a game and hope for a community to build around an idea and trying to be transparent about what type of game we are doing, selling the promise of how cool the game is going to be, and being on Twitter, on X, and we got this channel called Discord, which is the kind of the gamer community, and we try to collect people, and the bigger the number, the more you can flex at lunch, with your colleagues from the game industry. In my case, I managed to collect 200 people on Discord. My community was 200 people. I can tell you that it was very silent. There was a little bit of excitement, but it was very rare. When I started to work with David, very seriously, let's put it this way, like 7 months ago, he said, "Oh, we're doing a premiere tonight on YouTube. Come and join. Just come and put your like." It was it was crazy. It was like, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. We had to put a slow mode. There's a slow mode on YouTube in order to be able to read the comment. They were coming so quickly. And everybody was so enthusiastic about the new video, about the voice of David, about the storytelling, about the brand of Yarnhub. So for me, it was super clear that a brand was created. People were expecting from a video what they had from the last video in terms of look and feel, in terms of storytelling, about hero, goosebump, brotherhood. And they were very eager to be there. They were so happy to be part of that group and this community. And at the same time, they were saying, I want a game. When do we get a game? David, when do you make a game? It was really overwhelming. So we say we're good storytellers in the game industry because entertainment is storytelling. We say we are great at driving communities and listening to the community when we build a game. But that's nothing compared to what I've seen at Yarnhub.
And we think we're going to change the industry because the industry is broken. They're looking for problems. It's far more effective to go and build an audience first, and it's cheaper. I mean, it's the biggest cost in gaming. So why wouldn't you build it first and make money out of that growth than trying to build a game and then build the audience afterwards? Sorry, I just need to make this a little bit bigger on my screen. Just 1 second. So right now, our plan is we have one channel which is firing on all cylinders, which is Yarnhub, or actually that was up to 2024. We built the foundation. We got good character artists, office. We even have musicians, 3 full-time historians on the team, and the plan is we started to expand into Yarnhub Mystery, Blue Paw Print. And we also plan other demographics as well, like Her Story. We've got one planned, and also into children's as well. So it's not about the fact that it's just military history. We can tell, we know the formula to tell stories and make audiences large and committed, for want of a better word. And sorry, Cyril. So you missed off the. There's a bit missing on the second slide. So I'll just talk about it. We launched another channel called Blue Paw Print, and in 2025 we're at 300,000 subscribers with just 12 videos. So there's a great proof point for even now we can launch a new channel, produce 12 videos, and get to 300,000 subscribers, and we can do that at scale. So do you want to take the rest of the roadmap, Cyril?
Absolutely, yes. So now where we are today, and we're going to present to you the fundraising that we're doing. But basically what has happened in the last few weeks is we have started to build the game. So we are talking to the community, understanding what kind of game they want to play with us. And basically we're driving a vision on that game. If you want to hear about that game, very happy to talk to you about mixed arm, World War II, historical accurate, type of game, but maybe for another day. So what are we doing? We have ideas, we have design ideas, features ideas, and the name of the game is how fast can we test those ideas on a prototype in the hands of real users. I call it validation. So this is where the phase we are in at the moment. So very excited to work with the community and develop a game with them. We know that we have the best user acquisition and retention system that I personally have ever seen in my career of 20 years in the game industry. So we're going to measure our success on the long-term retention, on the D30, on the D90. We expect to really be above the market on those ones, just because every video is going to bring back the people into the game after they have originally brought people into the game. So it's a great user acquisition and user retention tool. So on that basis, I'm expecting our game is called Brass Rain to really have amazing D30, D90 retention numbers. Then after, it's all about portfolio. It's not, Brass Rain is done for Yarnhub. We want to be a portfolio company, portfolio of network and portfolio of games. We are looking at networks that are making 3 to 5 billion monthly view. We absolutely think we can be there. We are looking at portfolio of games that are making 100 million monthly active user, the MAU, and we 100% think we're going to be there. So to go back to where we started, we are planning to be the biggest game studio with the smallest marketing budget, and we are on that road.
So we're in the middle of a raise right now. We've actually got about I think it's 16 days left, Cyril.
Yep.
Going from yeah. 2,100 investors. It's the biggest number of investors that the platform have seen on a Reg CF a fundraise. So Reg CF, I'm not sure if you're aware. I'll just give you a quick blitz of it. You can raise up to $5 million. It's kind of like you have to file 2 years of CPA audited accounts, and there's a bunch of other legal stuff that you have to do. And you can raise up to $5 million, and we can do that up until the end of March next year, because we had our accounts audited until the end of 2024, which is they're all on the Form C, which is on the deal page. And but the response has been huge. We have, I guess, from the industry, it's a smaller deal size. So average deal size is about just under $400, and the reason is that we made the minimum $100, and the reason for that is because a lot of our audience on YouTube, they've never made an investment before, and we wanted to give a low entry point so that people could have take a stake. And we've had all sorts of investors. It's been absolutely overwhelming. Even like a student from Bangladesh who said, "I've got $150. Please take it and do something great with it." I mean, it's a huge burden of responsibility. Because it's not without risk. And we've tried to make that very, very clear. But we think we've got the right team. We think we've got the right strategy, and we think we're going to make decent money for our investors. So we've also got 300 over 1,000, and we're doing a call once a quarter with those guys. And we've got, I think it's about 12 or 13, maybe even over $10,000 investments right now. And we do a Zoom call with those guys once a quarter. So it's an open call, much like this. Everybody can ask questions as we go. We think it's going to close around about 1.4, 1.5. There's usually a bit of a speed up at the end on these things. Our target was 2.2 to cover 2 years of development with 15 people plus 6 months of contingency planning. And as I said, Reg CF allows us to raise up until the end of March. So this campaign is going to close. If it closes at 1.8, we probably won't open it again. But if it closes much below that, we're probably going to open it again a bit later in the year. We were actually on the call with King's Crowd last night, and they monitor the whole industry, and they have an indicator of how interesting, and they rank basically a score for the raise. And it's a maximum score of 5, and we raised 4.7. We made 4.7 with them, so they are interested in investing, and we're going on in front of their IC on Tuesday next week. So we've got something a little bit special. It's grown. It is the third largest raise already on the PickMe platform that they've done, and it's the fastest growing raise that they've ever seen. So if you needed a proof point that people are into this, I think this is quite a good one.
You're on their front page.
Yeah. Thank you. And this is another great indicator as well. A lot of investors say, well, are they really into gaming? Your people. Well, there's a couple of proof points for that. First of all, whenever we do integrations in our films, it's always gaming companies which come back and spend the money with us. So the gaming companies were definitely coming back again and again and spending money with us, which is a pretty good indicator that they're not doing that for the fun of it, right? They're obviously monitoring the performance of it. And we actually heard that they even can budget $75 to acquire one user, right? So that's an interesting metric, which we were blown away with. I can't tell you which company it was, but it's quite a big one. And so we launched our Steam page about 6 weeks ago, and it's a good Steam page, but it was something that we sort of put together in a few days. Cyril put it together in a few days, should I say? And one of the great things that understand from speaking to Cyril is having a massive team of creatives basically on standby to go and help you produce something that looks great from a marketing perspective. In our company is super easy. Usually for gaming companies it's very difficult and it's very expensive, but for us, we've got assets, we've got artists, we just need to pull them in and get stuff out. And we launched this Steam page, and already we're at 23,000 wish lists on there, which is incredible. It's an amazing number. There's many companies that have been around for a long time with serious marketing money that haven't made 23,000 wish lists, and we're already after 6 weeks in the top 2% of games, all games on Steam, in terms of wish lists. And we have 5K followers as well. And usually the followers is about 10% of the wish lists. And so we're way higher in terms of followers than wish lists as well. So we're doing pretty good there.
And maybe one comment on the revenue projection is always interesting whenever you invest in the company that is producing a product. So the numbers, again, using the ability to use the video to drive people in the game instead of buying ads on Facebook, again, the numbers goes high very, very quickly. And it's funny because when I first made the calculation, I was like, David, I'm sure there is a mistake. Can you find the mistake?
Yeah, we do.
So the numbers are 8 to 15 million, and I've put 4 to 15 million because I said, why don't I take the lowest and divide it by 2? Just for extra care. 4 million at launch in my world, in the 20 years in the game industry, is, it's not startup revenue. It's not startup revenue anymore. So we have that tool that allow us to, to take off as a company and with the first game very, very quickly. So we are very confident that we will reach the 4 million. We've put ourselves those objectives, the 4 million within the first 12 months after launch.
Yeah, I just one thing I want to add in on this final slide as well is that, again, coming from Intel, data is king. And in the gaming industry and in the media industry, the way that we work in terms of data analysis is very, very similar. A lot of A/B testing, a lot of audience retention, and it really does align very well in terms of, when you kind of look at it from the outset, you think, well, what's media got to do with gaming? But actually, it's very, very similar. And Cyril and I have very depth conversations about metrics, and they are extremely similar. And so we think we've got a magic formula here, which is going to take us to be the biggest gaming studio with the smallest marketing budget. And we've got the right storytelling, we've got the right approach, we've got the right team, and what we've got to do is we've got to execute. We've got to execute very well. And we're already off to a good start on that. Another quick anecdote that I'll throw in, they made a model of me for some of the videos so that instead of me, this sort of a face only a mother could love being on screen, they could sort of make it look a little bit better and a little bit younger and more attractive. And that model has now found itself into the development of the game. So there's a great incentive for people to get better with the game because they're just shooting the boss. And so if it's a great motivator, shooting the boss. So, but that's our vision. As I said, we think we've got the right team, we've got the right vision, and we're off to a good start.
All right, great. If anybody has questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I wanted to lead off with a few just because we haven't had too many crowdfunding groups in here. Honestly, most of them have been, larger kind of real estate, 506C, 506B type of deals, Reg A.
Yep.
So I wanted to ask you just a little bit about what were the challenges involved in putting together your Reg CF? And then the second question I actually have is I want to get a better picture of the investor return. When somebody puts $100 in, are they getting a cash flow stream, or is it a lump sum at some point? What's the investor return look like?
Okay, so I'll talk about the Reg CF first of all. Actually, it's not too bad. We actually spoke to somebody that went through like an AIM IPO on NASDAQ. They have this like Northern Stars NASDAQ IPO, and there was a company in Finland that actually did it. And it looked like they had to go through probably about twice the amount that we did in terms of cost, in terms of effort, and not a lot of, I would say not a lot more benefit as well. So actually I just want to say that the Reg CF actually worked out pretty well for us. The main thing was getting CPA audited accounts because we hadn't had that up to that point. And that was a cost, I think, of around about $20,000.
Yeah, that was actually going to be one of my questions is with so many people in here, how do you handle accounting costs and tax preparation costs?
Yeah, I mean, we have a team in the US that deals with that. So we have CPAs that go and do that. But we had to get different CPAs for the audit, of course, because you can't use the CPAs that you're using on a daily basis. Then there were legal costs to go and do the Form C. It was about $6,000. And the thing that we kind of got wrong that I would do differently if I was going to give anybody advice on doing Reg CF. So we were a little bit different because we have a truly international audience, and most Reg CF are geared up towards the US. And we went with a larger company, signed a deal with them, and we told them what we were looking for. We wanted people in Japan to invest. We have some people working in different parts of the world. We wanted them to be invest, and so it's not sort of like nothing dodgy in terms of countries. They're just regular countries. And they listened, we signed the contract, and then we found out that their custodian didn't accept Japanese holders. And so we had to swap platforms halfway through. And that was expensive. It was expensive because we'd already paid some setup costs. We didn't have to pay an exit fee. We could have fought it, but it was just a horrible thing to do. In terms of return, this isn't a dividend play. It's not too. Nobody puts like $10,000 in a Reg CF and expects sort of like 2% back a year or something like that, right? That's not a dividend play. So if we can get so right now we're 10 pre-money evaluation, and if we can get good stats on a game, which we're trying to get 2 levels out after 2 years, and if we can get good D30, D90 stats, the valuation of the company at that point is going to be around about 60 to 80 million. And we can then go to a company like Bitcraft or A16Z and then raise around about 15 as a Series A to take the game through to its full potential. And we've already spoken to these people. They're very interested in what we're doing. It's an interesting, we're in an interesting space with them because we don't have a game, but we have an audience, which makes us less investable. But if you have a game and you don't have an audience, you're also not investable. So that's why these game deals are sort of going down right now. So this is why we went Reg CF, because it allows us to get the game and get good stats, and we've got the audience. And at that point, we should be able to get the big raise on the basis of that. So, we're looking for, a multiple return on investment as a lump sum. After, and we'd love to go IPO, but already there are gaming companies which are sort of sniffing around us, I would say, for want of a better word. Sounds rather unsavory, but that's yeah.
I've been browsing around your YouTube site. For anybody out here who didn't see, I posted a whole bunch of links of theirs in the channel. So the video, the YouTube channel, their Blue Paw print, the micro crowdfunding site. I think almost everything you mentioned. So it's all there, and I bet a lot of people here have been browsing around and watching those. Maybe I should have posted them at the end of the talk, but that's great, and it's really beautiful art.
Thank you very
much.
We
have one question here from Tom Brown's or Bones, and he's asking, you guys are very focused on military and war conflict. Any thoughts about branching out into other genres? So we specifically manage fantasy and horror.
Yeah, so we've got a YouTube channel called Yarnhub Mystery, which we haven't posted on for a little while, actually. And the reason is because, as a small company, we have to go where the cash is. But Yarnhub Mystery shows a lot of promise. I think we've done 4 videos there. We're like 50,000, 60,000 subscribers or something like that. And so we really want to go down that route as well. We have plans to go into children's entertainment, and we have plans to go into young women's entertainment as well. So kind of like, I don't want to say sort of like soap opera, but it's kind of like, lifestyle stories, for want of a better word, lifestyle fiction, animated. So yeah, we have a whole bunch of genres which we want to go after, and the issue is as a video company, it's like being a gas station. You have this audience, and you're pumping a lot of gas, but unless you've got an engine, everybody else is taking your gas and then turning it into money. And so as a YouTuber, what you're doing is basically you've got a margin business. You might be creating a video, it costs you $40,000 to create, and you might make $50,000-$60,000 on that video. So as a gaming company, the whole thing changes because now we're pumping the gas and we have an engine to run on the gas that we're pumping. And so that allows us to be far more aggressive in terms of quality, in terms of subject area on our videos, rather than what we're doing right now, which is effectively operating as a margin business.
Okay. What are, when you're evaluating a gaming company, and I know you've spoken a lot to the strengths that you have here, is there, well, to relate it to real estate, for instance, a lot of real estate deals look very similar, and there are similar business strategies here. Whenever you're talking about a business, there's more strategy involved, and businesses can take on different shapes and different forms. Are there some universal things to look for in when you're looking at gaming companies? Obviously, the metrics you mentioned here at the beginning of the show, but when an investor's trying to come in and evaluate, hey, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the risk worth the reward? What are some of the go-to places they can start, evaluating and kind of digging into?
You want to take that
So
one, Cyril?
go to places as in website, or go to places as in opening the hood and looking at under the hood of the company?
Well, to evaluate it as an investment.
So, I mean, first of all, if you think about the company, so if the game is out, you just have to look at how efficient they are at acquiring new users. So the return on ad spend, or ROAS, is basically the first thing
That's
that
the number.
you're doing. So after that, I would say if you get a return on ad spend that is fine, so you can assume that they are getting enough money quick enough from their user base. So the next thing you need to say, are people getting pissed off this type of heavy monetization vector? So you're looking at retention. That's, again, the long-term retention. So you look at the D7, which usually players are happy to bear heavy monetization techniques, but after 30 days or 90 days. So kind of echoing myself in the presentation is really the go-to-market strategy with the ROAS efficiency, and then right away how people are retaining. Retention is the key. Again, the longer you keep somebody in an experience, the more opportunities you have to monetize. After you look at the average revenue per daily active user, average revenue per monthly active user, so ARPDAU, ARP, MAU, and so you basically go from acquisition, retention, monetization. There's one more thing you could look at, which is kind of when everything is ticked, you look at virality. When Cyril plays, does he invite David? Does he invite Daniel? What's the percentage of one acquired user get in terms of organic acquisition? That's also an interesting one.
Okay.
And on Steam, you can look at the revenue numbers as well, right, Cyril?
Yeah.
So
there are plenty of databases that are linked to Steam that will either estimate the revenue or just have the full revenue depending on the phase of the game.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience here? Feel free to take yourself off mute. You don't necessarily have to put your question in the chat.
Yes, I have a question. Are you familiar with what's his name? Jan Mardenborough, the gamer that went professional in race car driving?
I'm not, but I have heard of a couple of instances where that has been a crossover. Yeah, maybe I've seen him, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah. Well, my question is, have your technology been used to set up training and consider that as a potential revenue stream?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're focusing on World War II, so that's the focus of the game. We're not doing things modern, and it's a little bit difficult to acquire those users with the more modern games, and the reason is, well, I mean, there are people that do it, but we choose not to. I mean, if families are still alive and you're talking about people dying, and it can be a little bit unsavory. So we steer away from personally as a company, we steer away from anything before the first Gulf War. I think is the most recent one that we've done, and we've just been contacted by the USAF University to go and do one on one of their instructors and a warthog. So that's going to be a cool story. And as they asked us, we're going to, of course, we're going to say yes. So there are several companies that are looking at doing that kind of military training within Unreal Engine. And there are, I know in the UK we have something called the Battle Lab, which is I know it's right next to the Tank Museum, which is how I know about it. And it's basically companies which are being innovative in the military space. And I know there are a couple that are looking at training. We've not done that. I think it would be difficult with the history period that we're going for. Could we bring it bang up to date? Yes, but it would be a lot of work to do that. To quote Daniel, I'm not sure the juice would be worth the squeeze. I think there are people that are already far more advanced in that space than we are. I know there are a lot of US programs, particularly in flights, in aircraft in the USAF, to do a lot of virtual battlefields. And I think they're even doing things where they're projecting enemies on the HUDs in the planes in real life. So these planes are flying around, basically doing a video game. So it's I think it's quite far along. To answer your question, we could probably do it. I don't know if we could do it and be competitive.
All right. I do see one other question in the chat, and we usually end at the top of the hour. So I'm going to stop right here and say, hey, everybody, could you take yourselves off of mute and thank David and Cyril for coming in and speaking to us today?
Thank you. That was really great. You are a good storyteller. So
thank you very much. Apologies for my lispy English accent, but thank you very much.
Thanks, those David. Are selling points over here.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Great.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and present. It's been lovely to meet you all, and it's always great to meet ex-Intel people.
And Daniel, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. Everybody go check out. They're on Pick Me, MII, 2 I's, and they've got their funding opportunity up there. So thank you very much for coming in, and we'll be back next week with another speaker.
Cheers, Daniel. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Daniel.
So the Evergreen Fund is not looking to invest in this, Daniel?
The club fund?
Yeah.
I had, this is actually the first time I had got to see the presentation. So they were a last minute speaker. And so I saw it at the same time you guys did. So I really don't have an opinion right now. I'd have to go through and research it. But honestly, I think we're looking more at real estate and those types of asset driven investments in the club fund.
Yeah, it's more of a almost
I love
bias.
Yeah, I love bringing any sort of private opportunity into here. Part of this club is just hearing what people are doing and finding new, different ways to invest. And I love. Yeah.
Fun to hear the ex-Intel story that he's brought. Did you know him when he was here?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't even know he was ex-Intel until he mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.